Hello folks, welcome to another channel. Jose today with a tip about what not to do when you wash your car. And one thing I can tell you is if you've been driving on a stop and go, don't right away wash your car as soon as you get to the car wash, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be spraying water into the rotors or the wheels, and what we do is that water can warp your rotors. And to avoid that, here's a tip you can do, or give some time for the brakes to cool down. So what you can do is you can vacuum your car, give it some, as you vacuum your car, that can give some time for the brakes to be cooled down. So when you drive your car into the car wash or the drive through the car wash, your brakes are already cooled down. And this is the same scenario when we're cooking and we use a pot or pan, and then once it's hot, we put it aside so we can let it cool down and we can wash it. Because if you wash it right away, other than creating steam, it's gonna warp. And the metal is the same scenario on the disc brakes. Once you spray cool water into it, they start warp. It does warp the metals. We don't notice it by looking at it, but when you're on a high speed and then you start trying to break down your car, you start noticing that the steering wheel starts shaking, and that's because it could be that your rotors are warped and they need to be replaced. And to avoid spending money in the long run, you want to cool down your car before you wash it. And the one tip is that you can do vacuum, and that gives some time for the brakes to cool down, so then you can wash it and you'll be okay. So for that, we're gonna vacuum it and then we'll wash it. Let's see the temperature on our rotors. This is the front ones. 177 is the max temperature that we have read, and we just stopped driving. $177. That's on the front ones. So we go to the rear ones. We're getting a temperature of 140, 141. Now that we have vacuum our car and it gives us some time for the brakes to cool down, we're gonna check the temperature in the brakes and see how hot it is, and it will show you that time gave us enough time just to cool it down. So let's move the car to the washing station now. So now we have our car in the wash station. So now that vacuum gave us just enough time for the brakes to cool down, and we wouldn't spray cold water into it. So now we're going to verify the temperature of the wheel and the brake systems, and to see how much difference is from when we arrived to now after the vacuum and the window time. We check. So now this thermometer, this gun is showing us this 102.2 on the temperature. The max is reading is 102 Fahrenheit. So that's a big difference between when we arrived to now. That's the front brakes. Let's check the rear. So the rear brakes are reading 91.4 Fahrenheit, the highest temperature we're reading. So that vacuum time was good for us, so we will let the brake system cool down so we don't spray cold water right into it. So remember, the brake systems, you gotta let them cool down before you start washing them. So you have noticed when you get to the car wash and you start spraying water right away into the wheels, trying to get the dirt off, and then whatever water hits the rotor starts becoming steam. And the reason for that is because the rotors are so hot that the water just becomes steam as it touches the rotor. And that's bad for the rotor because you're throwing cold water into a hot system, and your car is gonna have issues in the future. That's when you start getting your wheels to shake, and then your steering wheel starts shaking when you're trying to slow it down, and then it brings bigger problems with long time. So just let it cool down and then start washing your car, and this will save you a lot of money and a lot of headaches by doing this simple tip. Well folks, I hope you have enjoyed this video and find some of this info useful towards your daily life. And like I said, all we have to do is apply this every time we come over to wash our cars. I know we're excited of keeping our cars clean, but sometimes we don't think about these little things. So let it cool down and then wash it, and you should be okay. You should save a lot of money in the future. Okay folks, we'll see you soon with more videos here en el canal de Chano Jose.